Who are you? What's your role, and where do you work?
Hi, I'm Andrew Hillier. I'm the CTO and one of the co-founders of Densify.
What do you want to share today?
Well, we're here at KubeCon in London, and one of the new things we're showing is our latest automation capability on our product called KubeX, and it's based on a mutating emission controller that lets you automate the right sizing of containers and the management of resources in a very simple way. Just turn on the mutation and it will take care of it all for you and from one central point.
And what problem does KubeX, and more specifically this automation component, what does it solve?
Well, we see in general there's a lot of over-provisioning and a lot of under-provisioning in these Kubernetes environments. A lot of containers have really high CPU requests. They might have high memory requests. They might have low memory requests, no memory requests. We see problems with limits being either not set, or like memory limits, or being too low, causing out of memory kills. So whenever in any environment we analyze, we find pretty much all of these problems somewhere across the clusters. And so the idea is that you want to be able to fix that. And there's numerous ways to do that. Of course, you can go to the repo and fix all of the input numbers manually, but that's not anything people want to do. So what this does, this new mutating emission controller, just lets us control it centrally. It interfaces with our analytics. The analytics are very smart. They understand what's a good idea to do, what's not a good idea to do. Some things are too big, but you don't want to touch them right now because maybe the nodes are running out of memory. So all that's factored into the analytics, and this new controller will just take that and that intelligence and say, okay, we're going to do it automatically as the containers deploy. So again, it saves you from having to interface with a lot of different app teams, especially in a dev environment where maybe it's okay just to override everything and make it more efficient. But we see it in prod environments too. It's just centralized control over the resources, and instead of wasting your time trying to deal with dozens and dozens of application teams.
Could you share the before and after this product announcement?
Well, again, before, I think what we see is people have a strong desire to fix these things, and we've seen people, for example, deploy our Terraform module, which is great, and it works really well, but it still requires you to interface with the different repos and modify things in the pipeline. Based on this announcement, what the capability is it gives you just a central control point to make the changes. So again, we've had a customer, for example, just enable it in the morning. In the morning, it was turned on, it was mutating, it was bringing request values down, and when those requests come down, for example, if you're running in a Carpenter environment or an AKS environment, the nodes will automatically consolidate. So if you turn on the automation, the container requests go down, the nodes go down, and the money saving starts happening right away. And so that's one of the beautiful aspects of it. When you turn it all on, it just starts to get better right away.
Is KubeX open source and part of the CNCF landscape?
So KubeX is not open source, but two of the main components of it are. So KubeX itself, the analytics are SaaS-based. They're hosted in the cloud. But the data forwarder that you run in your cluster to get the data, it gets Prometheus data, Node Exporter data, that's open source. So you can inspect it, see what it's doing. And the mutating emission controller is also open source. So anything that runs in a customer environment and touches the customer data is open source, so you can go and verify exactly what it's going to do. You can compile it yourself if you want. So those pieces are, but the main body is a SaaS-based service.
What's Densify's business model?
Well, we usually work, it's a subscription model. The pricing is per virtual CPU. It's all on our website, so you can see. So if you have a certain size environment, it's very well known what it's going to cost. You can use it by the month, or you can go yearly. Of course, it's cheaper if you go yearly. So most of our customers just sign up for a year or even multiple years, and you'll get a lower price, of course. And that's really it. And you can license different components of it. So there's a cloud optimization component, there's a Kubernetes optimization component, and of course they work together. When you're running Kubernetes, it will optimize the Kubernetes plus all the cloud nodes that it's running on together. So it's a pretty flexible model, SaaS-based, and a subscription.
Who are your main competitors?
Well, there are a number of companies around here that do similar things. In fact, I was just chatting with the SourceForge folks earlier today. Cast.ai is over there. They do similar things, a bit different. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. They're more of a node autoscaler. ScaleOps would be also similar to a node autoscaler. Perfect Scale would be another example, Sedai. So there's a few players in this space. We all have our different strengths. If you ask each of us, we'll probably tell you what we're better at. But it's kind of nice having company in this space because it says you're also in the right place. It's actually a problem people are trying to solve. And I've seen a difference myself in that, a year or two ago, I'd be evangelizing that you probably have this resource problem. Now people seem to understand that when they walk up to our booth, they know they have this problem or they have a cost problem and they're looking for how to fix it and how to automate it. So it makes our life easier when people are aware of this problem rather than us constantly trying to tell them the problem exists. So having other companies in the space, we find it a great thing. It just means that it's a good neighborhood to be in this case.
And what differentiates Cubex and Densify from those competitors in this space?
Well, one of the things that we're very good at is doing very deep ML-based analysis of the workload patterns of the containers. So we really go to town on characterizing exactly what they're doing for replicated workloads and scale sets and HPA. We look at all the replicas and we understand what are they doing, and it's a very strong policy model. So we can say, how exactly do we want to treat this workload? Do we want to size the limit based on the busiest? Or, do you want to say the request based on the average of all the nodes? And you can do a lot of statistical control. What about startup spikes? All that kind of stuff. So we're very good at coming up with the right answer. And we feel that that's a precursor to automation, because you don't want to automate the wrong answer. That's a disaster. So we start with the precision of what we do and getting the right answer. And then, of course, then we can automate that, or you can implement it however you want. But we feel that without the right answer, it's kind of emotionally satisfying but practically useless if you can't take the answer. And we have seen problems where if customers get a bad answer out of some product and they automate it and it blows everything up and HPA scales wildly and all these things. So we try to make sure that what we do is right, and then we automate it, as opposed to the other way around, which I think has been the approach of some other companies.
If people want to find out more information about this, the product that you're sharing today, where should they go?
Well, if you go to densify.com, that's obviously all our information is there. And the reason I would say go there is because we have a new sandbox there. We can actually click around and try the product. So you can sign up for a trial if you want to try it out, and of course we encourage that. But even before you go there, you can just use the product. You can click in and try it out. It's demo data, so you don't have to connect it to anything, and you get a feel for what it does. You can see all the features. You can see the automation screens. So we would encourage you to go there and just try out what we call the sandbox. And of course, you can dig deeper. There's lots of other information and resources, and my information's on there if you have any questions. But I would start with that. The sandbox seems to be a great place to start.